Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. You got the year right, 2024. We are here in the Java Cafe this morning. As we do during the year, we look at affinity weeks is what I call it, mainly in the healthcare vein, but also mentoring month, Black Business Month, Women's History Month. January is mentoring month, and we in the Java Cafe celebrating mentoring week. We're going to talk with Nate Sims in just a few minutes locally here from Mass Mentoring in Massachusetts. And tomorrow we're going to talk with the brother out of Minnesota that's doing mentoring as well. And so I have known this young man for minimally, I want to say 5 years, but seen him in the community throughout the years. I'm very instrumental. A lot of people don't know that some years ago, I had the opportunity to be the logistics manager for the Honorable Chuck Turner for his memorial service at RCC. And that's where I really got to know Nate there. And so we go back a little bit, brother from the community, very invested in community. And so we're going to bring him into the Java Cafe. When he comes in, please go ahead and welcome him as you all do. Shout out to everybody that's listening over on Instagram. What's up with DeCasso over DJ DeCasso over on Instagram? Good to see you on, brother. Let's bring in brother Nate and get ready to talk about mentoring. Brother Nate, what's up, brother?
Hey, brother James, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
This Wednesday morning.
I'm good, man. It was my birthday yesterday, Capricorn season.
Now I'll say happy birthday, but I'm not into the whole, overly into the astrology thing, but I'm in it enough to say, Virgos, we just do better.
Oh, okay.
It's good to see you on, brother. Is this actually your first time in the Java Cafe?
Yeah, it's my first time interviewing directly. I've been a long time listener, supporter for sure. I know that you got a pretty good profile. You do good quality interviews, get a lot of notable people. So it's very fortunate. I'm very grateful to be honored to be requested on this platform. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. You were my first thought. And then the other day I saw that you, and I'm actually going to be with her later, Governor Healy signed a proclamation to acknowledge mentoring month here in the state of Massachusetts. And so I said to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right vein getting this brother. When the team talked about it, I was like, let's get Nate Sims from Mass Mentoring. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got there, where you're from and things like that. And then we'll get into the importance of mentoring and what Mass Mentoring is doing. But tell us, who is Nate?
Yeah, well, my name is Nate Sims. My pronouns are tall, dark, and handsome. I go by he, him, his. Born and raised in Boston. The Northeast.
Wait, I'm probably in the thousands of interviews, and no one has ever. Okay, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Hey,
see, this is Nate, y'all. This is brother.
Just trying to reinforce, a little bit of confidence in there too, and it's also just for the respectful of how people choose to identify themselves.
Absolutely.
Double Husky from Northeastern University, criminal justice bachelor's, political science minor, nonprofit management master's, leadership concentration, a Balfour scholar, Ujima scholar, MLK fellow, Huntington 100. I've worked at community centers, higher education institutions, public and private. Of Jamaican heritage. Shout out to anybody streaming from the motherland. Big up Kingston, Oyase. That's like my Sean Paul Jamaican accent coming out there a little bit.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And besides that, man, I'm just person who does what he says he does, is dedicated and committing to supporting others, understanding the sacrifices of those who came before me, and being able to help and position those in the community to really get out of this next level and really break these generational curses. And I like to connect with people, and I'm like an intro extrovert. So sometimes I can be particularly social, sometimes I could just be more internal. But I like long walks on the beach. I'm an anime fan. I'm a gamer.
Wait, listen, be careful, because you'll take some of the folks off of here off topic, and then they'll be talking about what's Brother Nate's email.
Oh yeah, hey man, I'll put you on. I got my top 3 anime. I got my top 3 Marvel, whatever it is, any of that nerddom. So Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. If it's one of those things, I've read the books and I've seen the movies, so that knowledge is pretty extensive. I'm like a cool nerd. I try to be.
Listen, I'm not mad at it. Listen, one of the things you just said was helping folks get out of the generational curse, and mentoring is a huge part of that. We both share a demographic, being Black men. What I know how you are. I know that you don't work anywhere and don't do anything that you're not fully committed to. How did you wind up at Mass Mentoring? And let's talk about that journey there.
Oh man, that's a real loaded thing. So first off, I would want to say that I'm very fortunate to be in this position with Mass Mentoring Partnership. It's an incredible organization with a long-standing history, which I feel like has very much identified where I am positionally in life, and has attributed that value to myself and able to basically uplift the work that I'm doing. So I feel like I've really been positioned as a leader in this organization, where my voice is able to be heard. I'm able to represent on behalf of the majority of those who are recipients of mentoring, which is young Black and brown boys and girls. And so coming up to this organization, it was very intentional. I had some previous unfortunate experiences with, RCC, and that's still in process litigation. Take care of that, Sheriff Tompkins, much appreciated. Shout out to any of the board members. And basically, I'd come there from Northeastern University originally. I was working there, had a great relationship. Shout out John Tobin and Dave Isberg, 2 solid dudes who've just been in the community for a while. And then I transitioned to RCC after I got my master's. And so for me, it was like, all right, I'm working in my community. I'm using my education. This is exactly what I felt like I was, bred and built for. And then unfortunately, man, sometimes how they say it, be your own people. I can't necessarily say that for the majority of the RCC community, but at least in terms of certain aspects of the leadership, where there were just real fundamental differences. I mean, like, people who are real and people who are fake are just never really going to get along. People who are disingenuine and people who are ingenuine or genuine, whatever, aren't going to actually be able to connect. And so unfortunately, RCC and I had to separate and part ways, not under the best circumstance, but through a coalition of the Friends of RCC and various groups and lots of people who had basically kind of been, put into the gun. What I'm talking about. It had a long-standing history of kind of disenfranchising people of color under a specific institution. The college itself is phenomenal. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary, but for me, I kind of ended up just being like the tipping point. And we got through a whole coalition. We got the leadership removed. We got new people coming in. So the interim president, Jackie Jenkins Scott, is doing a phenomenal job in supporting RCC and uplifting them. And then, I took some time, man, to really just figure out where I wanted to be at, what I was going to be doing. Because this was like right at the height of the pandemic coming off. So it's like in 2021. So I'm trying to figure out like what my value is, what type of organization I wanted to work for, and just really where I felt like, my skills would be best utilized and I would be able to do my work that I felt like I was naturally called to, that doesn't feel like a burden, but also had the infrastructure in place, as well as the leadership and organizational structure that I felt like I would be able to naturally integrate to. And so it took me like a good almost a year to find that proper position. And, I interviewed for a lot of different positions. Some fit well, some didn't fit well, some were remote, some were hybrid, manager levels, vice president levels. And then when this came through, I remember having a good conversation with my brother, Earl Williamson, and he was like, Nate, this is really just what you got to do. You know where you are, you know what you bring to the table. And if that means that you just got to buckle down and have a little bit more discipline till you find that right fit for you as a position, then that means that's what you got to do. And I value that very much from that conversation. And so,
and then now you're there at Mass Mentoring.
Yeah. It's almost been 2 years. It'll be 2 years in May. And
Okay.
since I've joined the organization, it's just been hitting the ground running. I'm registered as a lobbyist right now with the Secretary of State's office with the Commonwealth. So that's actually part of my role
Okay.
within my responsibilities.
Tell us about mass mentoring. I've heard about it. There have been, I know some of the leadership throughout the years. Tell us about mass mentoring. Again, thank you for being transparent and sharing your journey. Just so you know, you're covered. That was me tapping into Brother Nate because it lends to the reputation and the work that mass mentoring does. You see, he is passionate and he doesn't go anywhere where he's not aligned with their values. So thank you for your transparency there. So you're at mass mentoring. Tell us about mass mentoring. We've heard about it. We hear about mentoring programs, but tell us about mass mentoring and what makes it unique from a lot of other mentoring programs.
Good question. Good question. So organizationally, Mass Mentoring Partnership is part of a larger affiliate known as Mentor National. We have affiliate organizations across, I think, almost 26 states or plus at least half of the states across the country.
Okay.
Some are standalone 501c3s, some are embedded within organizations. There's a Memphis Grizzlies one. Some are connected with other organizations. But for us, Mass Mentoring Partnership, specifically organizationally, essentially, we're committed to ensuring that all young people across the Commonwealth have the mentoring relationships that they need to develop into thriving, engaged adults, which help to support vibrant communities. We're really like a leader in the field of mentoring. So if you want to consider like who is the experts or the authority on mentoring, that's where our focus comes from, because there is actually a pragmatic and academic approach towards the best ways in which mentoring relationships can be nurtured and supported. And so we're really just dedicated to the commitment and supporting, Black and brown people, Black and brown communities and groups, young boys and girls. And in terms of us, what really makes us different, because we work with lots of organizations. You hear about mentoring, you got Boys and Girls Club, you got Big Brothers, Big Sisters, you got lots of organizations that do that work. But we are actually the only statewide organization that is dedicated to strategically expanding quality youth adult mentoring programs through an academic and reason-based approach. So a lot of our info comes off of research, evaluations, surveys. If you needed the data, there's reports that we give to our legislators. There's surveys that we collect from across the country. And so with our focus on building capacity, as well as training and technical assistance, which also includes site-based consultation. So in whatever type of area you need, are you just trying to start a mentoring program? Do you have a mentoring program with 50 people, with 100 people? Are you informal mentoring? Are you group mentoring? Is it one-on-one mentoring? Whichever area that comes in, we really try to consider ourselves as a force multiplier. So by supporting the investment within young folks, we know that by providing them with these tools, it will overwhelmingly help them have more positive outcomes in life. So like mentoring is not going to be the be all end all to solve the world's issues, right? But we know that overwhelmingly having a mentor in your life has so many more significant positive outcomes, right? I'm sure you can attest to yourself the value of having a mentor. I'm sure you mentioned some people. I consider you very much a mentor just in terms of the role for what you do in the community. I've had people that I've mentored. Everyone can agree with, it's good to have a mentor, or I've wanted to have a mentor, or there's something about it. But the intentionality behind that and how we're able to recognize that as a point of actual tangible public policy solution to really address many of the issues that have been heightened and exacerbated as a result of the pandemic, particularly those that have been concentrated in Black and brown communities, especially with the significant wealth gap and divide in Massachusetts. It's a great state to live in, great healthcare, low child mortality rates, food accessibility, but it just costs a pretty penny to be able to actually afford it. So it's kind of that trade-off. And we try to have ourselves be a bridge and a gap towards having people get to that next level through mentoring relationships.
There's a few things there I'd like to unpack. One is personal. Like, can you talk about a personal experience as far as mentoring with you? We talked about it a little bit when you were transitioning into this position, but how important has mentoring been to you as Nate?
Mentoring has been an essential part in my development of my sense of self and being able to find validity, purpose, and substance in a world where very often Black men are not given that same value or even recognition of our humanity. And so through, some really great and strong mentors in my life, I can remember all the way back from being in elementary school, dudes who would just say, Nate, believe in yourself. Everybody want to be rich, but they don't want to put the work in, right? That's like a Kevin Hart quote. And I can think about significant people like Dean Richard Harris, Dr. Richard O'Brien, Keith McDermott. Those men in their positions have just been throughout my life, particularly, coming into the part of high school and going out of college, where they just provide that reinforcement. So you don't feel like you're crazy, right? Because people will try to make you feel like, your opinion isn't right, or you shouldn't feel fully justified in trying to fight for your rights or defend people. And when you have those mentors who have that experience, they're paving the way and helping you essentially improve upon the path, right? So you don't have to go through all those same obstacles, because they've already done that. They can let you know how to navigate dealing with higher education institutions. They can support you when you're trying to focus on your professional development and the narrative and how you put forth. And so as termed of a core part of myself, it's really one of the essential parts of me. And I very much also believe in being a mentor. So I got a lot of young folks who I mentor, college students, family members too as well. I've been a mentor for lots of years. Even through Northeastern, there's a mentee who I had. We were the same age. She was just an international student. Her name is Virginia, but she's like a chosen sister to me. And she was coming from India, but just supporting her to navigate the university and be welcome to Boston. And now I got a free pass to go to India whenever I want. Shout out to Jai. I hope you're doing good for as a mentor. She can attest to that work as well.
I definitely wanted to, tap into the personal impact of it. You talked on it a little bit during the transition, but again, when folks are on for the first time in spaces like this, I want the audience to know why they're passionate about this space. You did name that Black and brown men tend to be the number one consumers of mentoring, but mass mentoring has a few things that they're focusing on. Men, I understand girls, and now this new sort of initiative in focusing on femmes in embracing LGBTQ plus community, because that's a whole, young people have issues going on, period. And then when you factor in, other sort of marginalization factors, if we would like to frame it like that. Tell us about that initiative of ensuring that you're covering the spectrum of young people and that intentionality.
Yeah. So the fortunate thing about our organization is that they're very tapped in to the narrative and to like what the primary concerns are for people. And in addition to the capacity building that we offer, there are a wide range of training. So some of that information I'll be able to share with you, and you can check out our calendar later on to see. I mean, there's trainings that cover anti-racism, white saviorism, so many varieties of areas, particularly.
Hold on, back up. You said what?
White saviorism. We have a white saviorism training that is very well attended and very well received. And that should be a word that people can be comfortable with saying without feeling any type of way about it. But to pivot also to the focus for one of our newest trainings that is coming out, showing the ways in which we will try to stay tapped into the field. I'd be remiss if I was just talking about my role as a Black man and not understanding Black women and them still being the most underprotected class in the country.
Sir. And we see a lot of demonstration of that lately.
A lot of that, even though they're one of the most educated groups, right, in terms of the highest number levels of degrees, particularly. And so as a result of the expressed need, particularly for that support for young Black and brown girls, there's actually a mentoring Black and brown girls in FEMS training. And so we actually had the opportunity where we've been invited by the national organization, like I mentioned, Mentor National, and we're able to operate in a city where this is particularly useful, right? Considering the racial dynamics for Boston, the progressiveness that is there in the speech, but the lack of tangible execution in the way that it looks between segregation, separations of the area, property value. I'm not going to get too heavy into that, but
you're good. Go ahead. I'm going to get rid of my Go ahead.
Yeah, man, that's one of those things for, what do you say when someone asks you what happened over text and you're like, oh, that's a phone call. That's one of those phone calls.
Look, that's a sit, bro.
So for this Black and brown girls and FEMS training, we actually hosted an info session in December. It was a great turnout. We have our next virtual info session in March. There's supposed to be an upcoming conference, I believe sometime in the summer. And this is supposed to be a space that is specifically only for those who identify as Black and brown girls and femmes. We have a really great team that are heading that work, because our organization is also very diverse in our representation too as well. And it's really just one of the main areas where we try to support what is going to be the actual need that is based off of what has been just communicated. Like, where do you see a lot of the inequities? Where do you see the lack of representation? Where do you feel like most of the support can happen? And so being able to have this as part of the larger Mentor National movement is really supportive.
One of the things that I wanted to mention as someone who's part of the LGBTQ plus community is I definitely appreciate the Black and brown girls and femmes, but then also, and I just thought about this in real time, so to also consider that there are some younger brothers that don't identify on the femme side, but then may be a part of the community that still need that, even more so, need that mentoring. And so maybe pass that back up to include, and I'd be glad to consult and help in that space, because even if the young brothers don't identify as femme, but they're still part of the community, they need mentoring as well. And so I think that focus, and I'm just, we brothers. So I'm thinking about this in real time to pass back, to the programming folks there, that could be a focus as well, just to make sure. I love the diversity, but to make sure that safety net, is the mesh is as small as possible, so no one, falls through the cracks, because that is a very interesting, population to support. So.
It's interesting that you mentioned that too, Brother James, because really the inclusivity is a primary sticking point for our organization.
Yes,
so
sir.
There are various LGBTQ trainings and support that we offer. And because of our intentionality, there's actually conversation that's actually in the pipeline. I'll be leading that initiative with some of the Black and brown boys trainings. We actually have some of our leaders from other affiliates who are like master trainings that will be coming in and supporting that work. But we also knew that we had to create that space specifically for that actual affinity based off of what the current public narrative is. But in terms of the overall breadth of where we like to have the equity-based approach and also being inclusive in that, there is that type of form of training. And to hear that from you in terms of point of feedback is really how we respond. Because we do have a proactive approach, but we also take the reactive approach. And so that's something that people are clamoring for and saying, hey, we want the intersectionality. We want to be able to have different people from different backgrounds, from every walk of life, LGBTQ, Black, white, Spanish, whatever your religious orientation is, differently abled, whatever it is, and whatever that specific focus is on the affinity is what we'll be able to respond to.
I definitely, I appreciate that. And, I'm familiar with the work, but I was not as familiar with the sort of, to sum it up, the DEI approach, the inclusivity, the intentionality around intersectionality, all these buzzwords, that we use in the space, but to be able to say them in a space where someone is presenting them being genuine and being real, it makes a huge difference. And so I just wanted to highlight a couple of things as we get ready to start wrapping up. But in the comments, this link, it's on the banner here, but in the comments, I wanted to let you know that we put a few links in there so you can find out what Mass Mentors is doing. It says Mass Mentors there, but it's Mass Mentoring Partnership. But that's the link to go to the calendar on the website. And then also, if you're interested in joining, now for clarity, is this joining the network as an entity, or is this joining a network as an individual? Do you all do direct service, or do you do more TA support? And let's say one of the mothers board members in here wants to start a mentoring program, Crocheting with Girls. Do you support, community folks that may not have a 501c3, but they got 5 girls, they got locked in for 5 weeks that they're doing a crocheting or construction? Let's bring that dynamic as well. Girls ready, for construction. What's the scope of what Mass Mentoring Partnership does from soup to nuts?
So for the link that's shared for joining the network, that will have you sign up for our newsletter. And that is really opening the door, right? It's really just pivoting into the network and having a good, it really depends on what you're looking for, right? You seek and you shall find. And so by signing up for the newsletter, you'll have the opportunity, because we have a significant, extensive training calendar, lots of opportunities and ways for people to be involved. And just by tapping into that regular access of information to the resources that we offer, you're able to delineate exactly where you feel like you fit into the mentoring network, whether you want to be a mentor, if you want to work for a mentoring organization, if you want to partner with our organization formally. And so it's really just a chance just to kind of tap in at first. But, once you get pulled in, right, we are a partnership. And so we reinforce those relationships. And so be ready to get that information. And we try not to oversaturate the market, but
Okay.
really trying to be, intentional with the information too as well. So there's lots of different offerings, whether you're starting, like I said, at the ground level, or if you're going and you already have a fully functioning mentoring program or looking for consultation. And if we can't necessarily provide all the specific answers for you at that time, we will either follow up with you to get that information or be able to get you to the person where you need to get that information from, for sure. But for the most part, you can definitely come to us for any of your mentoring questions or issues or relationships overall.
That little clip right there is enough for a commercial. We'll get that over to the IT marketing team. But no, it really is so important that we think about this, because I'm sure you've been a part of conversations where and there's a couple of folks that actually want to connect with you. Michelle D. Smith, she does motivational speaking and whatnot. And so if you could put in are you on LinkedIn, or what is your, if it's your Spring email, you could put that in the private, whatever is your preferred way to be contacted. But I'm sure you've been a part of conversations that we realize that the impact of COVID from a mental health standpoint has not really hit a lot of our young people, and not just our young people, society in general. And so can you talk to the mental health benefit proactively? You talk about Mass Mentoring Partnership being proactive. One of the things that I'm realizing is sometimes some of these young people, it's not clinical. They won't talk to a parent. They won't talk to someone at school, but they may just be willing to talk to someone, about an issue they're dealing with. Do you see a mental health, from your perspective, what is the impact of mentoring on a young person's mental health?
Mental health right now is one of the most talked about topics in general, but particularly in the mentoring field, it's really been an essential focus. So, as a result of the pandemic, we also had to shift mentoring and what mentoring looked like and how it took place.
Because you couldn't meet face to face. So
Exactly.
mentoring virtual, or did y'all develop an app, or y'all put them on?
So we utilized the means that were available, and through forms of like Zoom and Microsoft Office and Google Meet, we had to make that shift. Otherwise, mentoring would have ceased to exist, but it is still a thing that is very much wanted. So there's such a high demand for mentoring right now. And being able to have the consistency with just outward communication, just exposure to other people in different lives and different environments, we have understood has been significantly, has had a huge impact in our young people's sense of self, in just feeling like there's also that support. So what was one of the best things about coming when we was back outside, right, coming out from the pandemic, is that there were some mentors and mentees who had relationships that were started during the pandemic, existed throughout the entirety of it, and didn't have a chance to meet until we were able to actually connect directly in person.
Did you all do an event? Now we're going to get into Nate and Jivy. Did y'all do an event and bring them together? Because I'm sure at some point there were tears, there were hugs, there were like, what was that experience like to see them go from virtual to in person?
So we do a national mentoring night with the Red Sox every May. And we basically bring together 1,000 mentors and mentees from all across the state. And it was coming back once the Red Sox opened back up, I think like 2021, 2022. And when you just see the joy on people's faces, just being able to connect and interact in an environment that's not necessarily academically based, or the person doesn't have to be there because they're being paid to be there, but you're just out there watching a good Red Sox game. Black people, white people, Asian people, Hispanic people, everyone from all walks of life, different age range. It was just really what you feel like life should be about, and to be able to actually see that. So we actually have our upcoming Red Sox event. It's going to be in May. I'm not sure the exact date, but that's on our calendar too as well. And so if there are mentoring organizations that are part of our network or that are looking to be involved, then reach out to us and we'd be happy to be able to support that. There was one circumstance that really stood out to me during the pandemic, and it was for a student who had been mentoring a young lady, and the student was an international student and had to go back to China. Because of the time difference, this person had to wake up at 5 a.m. for like a 2-year period to still connect with their mentee. And they did that. And then when they were able to come back, once the restrictions lifted, they connected with that mentee, and they attributed, the mentee themselves said that the support of their mentor, the consistency, the time commitment, helped them see themselves in another position. And I think they had like applied to their schools and got into their top schools, and they were able to connect. And it was just one of those like really kind of like heart-wrenching stories, because you're like, damn, that's dedication, that's commitment right there. So lots of ways for people to be involved and to get connected.
Absolutely. There is definitely a buzz this morning in the comments for Michelle is looking to connect. Michelle,
Nice.
I put his email. So you all contact Brother Nate because it's a lot for him to get all of this here and then try to contact you all. So his email address, Brother Eric is in the room. Donna Williams Bowen. She's one of those that may not be a part of an entity, but she does good, impactful work on the ground in community. She just hustles for community.
Yeah.
So she's definitely going to reach out. Michelle, Eric, Leslie, she does some workshops for girls about sexual assault and self-awareness and whatnot. So there's definitely a lot of energy in the Java Cafe. Mika does some business development. Denasia Yancey out of the mayor's office, LGBTQ advancement office. So Nate's email, he can't get all of you all information on here, but you all can email him and Sims, not Simmons, as I said yesterday, and Sims at massmentors.org. Michelle said she'll reach out directly to you as well. And so I just really, I appreciate you coming in and helping us highlight it's here mentoring week, but mentoring month here across the country, not just here in the state of Massachusetts. Shout out to the governor that acknowledged that and did that proclamation. Well, is there anything that we missed this morning? I know you have the initiative. We shared how to sign up. We shared the calendar. We shared the newsletter.
Yeah. There's just one or two points just to expand on. Some members for our team are actually going to be presenting in Washington, D.C., as a matter of fact, next week. So we'll be in D.C. for the National Mentoring Summit. There's Capitol Hill Day. But there's already over 120 people registered, and these two, some of our presenters are really some of the strongest individuals that we have in the organization. So if anybody is going to be going to the mentoring conference, they're going to be in the area, MMP will be presenting there as well. There's some good work that we've been doing across the Commonwealth. We particularly want to highlight some of the work that's been going on in Lynn, supporting their mentoring initiative, as well as here in the city of Boston, working with BPS. Our CEO, Lily Mendez, is actually going to be part of a fireside chat that's supposed to be tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I think in the bowling building, it's like a mentoring BPS event that's going on. So otherwise, just really being able to connect with the mentoring network, signing up for the newsletter, checking out the calendar, and for those with philanthropic pockets, engaging and donating. We are a nonprofit, so it doesn't mean that you can't make money, but it means that you're not in it for the money. So to be able to get that support and to continue supporting the work that we're doing. We're on all primary platforms: Facebook, Mass Mentoring Partnership; Instagram at Mass Mentoring; LinkedIn, Mass Mentoring Partnership. And it's really just fortunate that we're able to be in this position on National Mentoring Month, recognizing Governor Healy and the entire legislature for the support. A lot of our state senators, a lot of our state representatives who have really supported us being able to be in the position where we are right now.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate what Mass Mentoring has done for you. I see a joy. I see, because we here and there would see each other and keep in touch during the transition. And so I was intentional about asking how you landed there, because you definitely see the commitment exuding out of you. And so it is definitely awesome. Hopefully we'll get some folks either to sign up for mentoring or services or come out. And I'm sure you're going to get a couple of emails in the next a couple of days and whatnot. So just keep us abreast of connections made through the Java Cafe, because we want to ensure that we capture, as you all do there, the impact. This is all good. All these bells and whistles are good, but if there's no impact, then we'll shut it down. So Brother Nate, I appreciate you for just coming in the room and sharing this information with us. We will see each other. I'm not sure if you're going to be out this evening. I'm sure the governor will talk about mention mentoring, presumably. But if I don't see you this evening, hopefully see you very, very soon in community.
All right, good sir. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Keep up the good work, boss. All right.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
Hey, man, trying to be like you right now.
Whatever, brother. It's good to see you in the room. And we'll see each other soon, man. Peace, brother.
All right, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Later.
Listen, folks, most of the information where you can go and get the newsletter and different things are in the comments. They are hyperlinked, so you can go right there and get the information. What's up, Anissa? Good to see you in the room as always. Stan, good morning. Yes, Stan, I need to follow up with you about the voice drops. Oh, I did. I got back. I did get back. I think I did. But it's good to see you in the room, man. Michelle, Eric, and also Donna and Leslie, please follow up with Nate at the email address that's scrolling on the bottom there. We are continuing the conversation about mentoring tomorrow. We have the opportunity to talk to a young man who I believe is out of Minnesota, out of Turn Signal. His name is Andre Creighton. He will be with us tomorrow morning to continue the conversation about Mentoring Week. Wait a minute. Whose birthday, Jesus? I see Sharon Cornelius with the birthday cake. Lord Jesus. Michelle got an acronym, y'all. HABD. Java with Jimmy. Have a blessed day. Thanks, Mama Java. They was looking for you in the room earlier. Sharon Cornelius. Okay, so whose birthday, Jesus? Is it Sharon's birthday? I'm scrolling up in the comments. You know, we can't miss Sharon's birthday. We have to say it 6 times. Whose birthday is it, somebody? Sharon, can you let me know, please? So, to, again, let you all know, tomorrow morning, Andre Creighton will be with us, I believe, out of Minnesota. Turn Signal to continue the conversation. Next week, we're going to... Oh, it's Nate's birthday. Sharon. Anyway, Sharon's birthday is coming up on February 6th. Okay, so we'll need to remember that. What day is February 6th? Are we on that day? Look, y'all got me sitting in here researching Sharon's birthday. February 6th is a Tuesday. So you know what? I'm getting off of here, Jesus. UCB, y'all get an hour. Today is 10:40. Anissa's birthday is February 10th. Oh God. All right. So we're gonna Anissa, we need to figure out a way to start a birthday club, or I don't know, at the beginning of the month. I don't know. We'll create a link or something so y'all can fill out your birthdays or whatever every month. We'll post the link sometime this month, and you're just gonna go ahead and put the date and your name, and if you want, you can put your age, and we'll, starting in February, acknowledge people's birthdays for the month of February all at one time. All right. So we'll figure that out. All right. I'm getting off of here. Auntie Java said that went over your head, and y'all choosing violence this morning. All right. I'm getting off of here, Jesus. I'm going to get off of here before I get in trouble. You all have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Make sure this evening you tune in. A couple of weeks ago or last week, we got to hear from the mayor of Boston about the state of the city. Make sure this evening you tune in to Governor Healey's State of the State address. We'll be there in the gallery live. Was invited by the governor's office. First time going to this. Well, no. Where did I go? Inauguration, State of the State. I think I went to the state. Oh, no. I went to the reception and then left. So I'm going to the State of the State this evening. Make sure you stay tuned or tune in. Don't forget, this afternoon at 12 p.m., UCB members, and even if you're not a UCB member, we are talking with Audrey Gautier of Mass Health Connector. I can't believe I got it right. We're talking to her at 12 noon about health insurance. You have up until, I believe, next Tuesday to sign up for health insurance here in the state of Massachusetts, away from having a life-changing experience like either a death, having a child, getting married, a change in your income. And so we're going to hear more information about that today at 12 noon. So you get 2 cups of Java today, a midday Java. And also, speaking of midday Java, starting on Monday at 12 noon, we will open the Java Cafe late. This week we're at 10 a.m. Next week we're at 12 noon, and we will follow up with you sometime in February if we are changing the cadence as far as the time of day, and if we're changing or shortening any days here in the Java Cafe. All right. There's things in the works. I was talking to Anthony yesterday, and we both were like, there's things in the works from December to January. They kick it in February and March, and we're like, just waiting, making things happen. So thank you all for your flexibility. Sandy, what's up, sister? Good to see you in the room. Well, what's up, daughter? Good to see you in the room. Definitely appreciate you being in here. I'm going to get ready to wrap up, everyone, so we can come back at 12 noon and talk about health insurance. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your morning, and we will see you shortly at 12 noon as we talk with Audrey about health insurance. Heidi, come back at noon, and we'll be talking about health insurance. Have a great day, y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.